Hi, I'm Pascal van Elbes. I'm race director for the Lotus Cup Europe 2012, and I welcome you in Germany on the Nürburgring for the first race of the season 2012.
It's often said you get all 4 seasons in one weekend at the Nürburgring, and the Lotus Cup Europe was no exception. Snow in the paddock on qualifying morning, and then a very, very wet and cold circuit for the session itself. Nigel Ayres, one of many spinners as the cars dashed through the murk in order to try and set a competitive pole position time. In the end, it was Xavier Georges who claimed pole position after a super qualifying performance. Well, after qualifying, Torque Developments International take responsibility for power testing all the cars to ensure that everybody is running according to the power regulations as laid out by the championship. It gives a level playing field and makes sure that the competition in the Lotus Cup Europe is fair, close and competitive. The team set to work testing the power of the cars as the field lined up in Parc Fermé. After the work of the scrutineers and Torque Developments International was done, it was time to go racing, with Jean-Baptiste Mersnier, who we ride with, having a prime view of the rolling start as the field surged away along the start and finish straight and then down the hill into the very tight hairpin that makes the first corner on this Nürburgring circuit. Picking his way through, you can see the rear of the white car, that's Jonathan Walker, who put together a very fine drive. Everybody turning through on the first lap. There was always going to be an instant. It happened in the midfield. Slight contact and a spin around, but otherwise no harm done, and everybody was cleanly through to continue their race, which eventually was won by John Walker from Gregory Rass and Xavier Georges. Super racing as ever throughout the field, including Nathalie Genot-Preche, the first female Lotus 211 racer in the Lotus Cup Europe. She, like all the drivers, thoroughly enjoyed the race as they got the round of applause on the podium.
It was fun. Actually, it's all about fun. But today it was all about snow as well for the qualification. Not for the race, but for the qualification. So at the beginning it was quite hard, not use of the car. But I mean, it went well. I finished the race without damage, so that's a good start. And I hope to have a good future race. So I enjoyed it.
Happy Natalie, happy drivers on Sunday, because the sun came out and we were treated to the Lotus Cup Europe at its very best. It was the Rass brothers who were at the head of the field, with John Rass eventually claiming the honours just from brother Gregory, with then Paolo Necchi rounding out the podium.
Thank you for being in Germany with us, and we'll see each other again in France, Magny-Cours.
From a sunny but chilly Nürburgring, we go to a sunny but chilly Silverstone for the second race of the weekend from the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy. The Grid Race 2 is always a reversal of the top 10, and therefore we have a very jumbled head of the field, with Steve Guglielmi on pole position, Craig Demon alongside him, Ken Savage and Martin Wills making up row 2. Rob Boston and Steve Quick, the stars of race 1, on the 5th row, about ready for the off. Who's going to get the jump? The lights about to go out now. Away we go. It's a good start from the yellow car of Ken Savage from 3rd on the grid, but I think it's going to just be the white car of Steve Guglielmi who heads the field, turning his cops the first time. Also well away is Craig Demon, so he's there in 2nd place. Martin Wills has come up into 3rd, so despite the start, Ken Savage actually gains no places into cops for the first time of asking. So Guglielmi, the former TVR Tuscan racer, very experienced driver, very rapid driver, leading the field. Great addition to the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy field for 2012 is Steve Guglielmi, but now he's got the wily Craig Demon on his tail, then Martin Wills and the rest of the field all streaming through. Everybody safely through the first couple of turns as the battles, as ever, in the midfield start. Only Jose Palzon just gaining the place on Nigel Hannam down the hanger straight as Denman looks to move around the outside of Guglielmi and take lead the race. So into the lead goes Craig Denman, Martin Wills in 3rd, Savage in 4th, Andrew Bentley up into 5th with Warren Scott, Steve Quick, Rob Boston, Stuart Rowland and Phil Stratton Lake, the next group of cars through, fanning out down into the Vale for the first time, and Savage loses it. He takes Bentley with him. Across the grass they go, and Savage bumps across back onto the circuit. Will anybody make contact with him? He's been avoided by everyone so far. No, bang into Neil Livesey he goes, and Neil has probably got every right to feel slightly miffed about that. He was minding his own business as Ken Savage, in his haste to rejoin, just tags Neil lives in. Neil has come off worse from it. Steve Guglielmi, through all those adventures, has found his way back into the lead of the race, though. The leading group now somewhat dispersed following that moment from Ken Savage, but still the frenetic racing continues. Andrew Bentley only lost a few places in that moment. He is now on to the tail of Stuart Rowland. He's got Dave Carr with him, and Carr, who we saw rotating out of the race at Vale in race 1, is now well up inside the top 10 in race 2. Looks to be into the slipstream behind Andrew Bentley down the Wellington Straight for the first time, as Denman looks the inside of Guglielmi into Brooklands on the brakes. Craig Denman tries to squeeze through. Martin Wills also looking to the inside, but Guglielmi maintains the lead around the outside. Turning into Luffield, leading quartet including Warren Scott breaking away from Steve Quick and Rob Boston, resuming exactly where they left off in race 1, running together as they look to pick their way up through the field. This is the beauty of the reverse grid race. You get so much overtaking, as Denman now looks inside and takes the race away from Guglielmi. Through as well goes Martin Wills, so the lead completely switches around. Warren Scott also trying to make good progress. And this leading quartet, they've got to be careful, because if they keep fighting like this, it's going to make the job of Rob Boston and Steve Quick very easy to get onto the tail of this leading group. It's now Wills who has the advantage from Denman, Scott and then Guglielmi, who in the space of 2 corners has gone from first to fourth as Rob Boston slides through and gains the place on Steve Quick, as Ken Savage unfortunately limps back to the pits. And already Quick is onto the tail of Guglielmi. They've really gained ground, and so we now got 6 cars squabbling at the head of the field. This is exactly what we were hoping for. Boston and Quick still side by side. Rob Boston squeezes through out of club. They accelerate on towards Abbey. It's a real shame for Paul Davis, though. He is an early retirement as this frantic fighting at the head of the field continues. It's one of the reasons why the drivers and spectators so love the Lotus on Track Elite Trophy. You are almost certainly guaranteed an exhilarating race, and that is exactly what we're seeing here at Silverstone in race 2. So the fight for third, accelerating down the Wellington Straight. Guglielmi from Boston and Quick. Boston looks to the outside, Quick to the other side as they go 3 abreast into Brooklands, and Steve Quick surges through right the way around the outside. Or does he? Rob Boston then late on the brakes, able to carry the pace mid-corner, elevating himself up into third. And again, it's Guglielmi who's been somewhat shuffled down, losing a couple of places down into 5th position. Nigel Ayres and Nigel Hannum continuing their tussle a little bit lower down the order. This is for 17th position. Back to the head of the field, and it's Steve Quick who has somehow squeezed up into the lead of the race. So Martin Wills down into 2nd, Rob Boston in 3rd. And wherever you see these cars, the order has almost certainly changed, as James Proctor looks to gain a couple of places into Brooklands. So the bright orange car moving up through the pack, with Stuart Radcliffe following in for close company. Back to the leading group, it's still Quick from Wills, Boston and Andrew Bentley, who has made good progress as well following his early race adventures. Right now Steve Quick in the lead of the race. Will he be able to pull out the gap here over Martin Wills? Quick usually likes to run alone if he can, so he wants to just try and pull out that gap and run his own races. Andrew Bentley looks to the outside of Rob Boston into Stoke Corner, almost 3 abreast. They both try and go around Martin Wills for 2nd place. Brilliant action, no position changes though. Martin Wills showing that traditional racing line is the one that works out best. And now Boston looks to the outside into Vale. That's going to be brave, snatching the breakers, Martin Wills. And does Rob Boston go through? Martin Wills doesn't really give him Elise's width there into Club Corner, so they remain as they were. And all the while, this is enabling Steve Quick to break clear at the head of the pack. Boston already in defensive mode on towards Abbey as Andrew Bentley looks to challenge him. Stuart Rowland also not too far back. Alan Courbeau and Dave Carr continue their tussle a little bit lower down the pack. So much racing going on throughout the field, you barely know where to look. Carr though able to hold on to his place through Vale and then accelerating on through Club. Dave Carr, one of the drivers who has improved the most over the past couple of years. He came close on Track Elite Trophy as a racing novice, and he's just steadily worked his way up through the pack. Got a replay here of Matthias Radstock being mounted by Michael Russell. Well, on the Discovery Channel they'd show that after 9 o'clock. As it was, they rejoin the action with no harm done, just a bit of a bump. The leading trio through, then Stuart Rowland got Phil Stratton-Lake looking to make the move on Craig Denman though, and through he goes. The place is gained, and that is a nice move from Phil Stratton-Lake. We're into the final lap of the race here, and Steve Quick coming under pressure now from Rob Boston. Will he be able to hold on? Well, this is a role reversal of race one. In race one, it was Boston who had the comfortable advantage going into the final lap, but Steve Quick who came through to win it. Now, will Quick make it 2 from 2 and hold off the challenge of the former Mazda MX-5 racer Rob Boston into Vale for the final time? And then the run out of club is going to be absolutely crucial into the very quick right-left combination of Abbey and Farm. These drivers again on the limit, and Rob Boston really putting the pressure onto Steve Quick. Further dramas behind the spin for Clive Wills in the number 6 car. He should rejoin. He's not hit anything. Right through Abbey and into Farm, and around goes Steve Quick. What a quick spin. He is going to recover, but that is such a high-speed exit from contention for the win. He rejoins in 4th position. So Rob Boston into the lead of the race. Martin Wills second, Stuart Rowland up into 3rd, and Quick has rejoined. That was a scary, scary moment. One of the fastest points in the circuit, and around he went. Will he be able to do anything about Stuart Rowland to get himself onto the podium? I think he's a little bit too far back with just a couple of corners to go. The checker flag goes out, and it is Rob Boston who claims a maiden victory in the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy from Martin Wills and Stuart Rowland, with Quick in 4th position. His blood pressure may come down eventually. So here's the classification. The win for Rob Boston from Martin Wills, Rowland and Steve Quick. Phil Stratton-Lake an excellent 5th from Craig Denman in 6th. Pole sitter Steve Guglielmi held on for 8th, with David Hay in 9th and Tom Roche rounding out the top 10.
Thank you, sir.
Champagne on the podium, providing very welcome refreshment for Stuart Rowland, Martin Wills and our race winner Rob Boston. Super racing we've enjoyed this weekend from the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy and Lotus Cup UK at Silverstone. Join us in a few weeks' time for more action from Lotus on Track.